What's up, sports bettors? My name is Matt Modi, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how you can use one of the best sports betting softwares out on the market called OddsJam. I'm going to teach you how to use OddsJam. Now, OddsJam has you covered no matter what you are looking to do in the sports betting world. Whether it is positive expected value betting, whether you want to take advantage of free bets, you just want to line shop, you just want to look at what the odds are for a specific game, or maybe you just need a place to track your bets. No matter what it is, OddsJam has you covered. But before I get started, I would appreciate if you could like and comment on the video. Just want to make sure that this is the type of content that you guys enjoy. And if so, let me know. And then, of course, if you could subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel. We have a ton of helpful content on this YouTube channel, ranging from best bets to sports betting education, sports betting tutorial videos. So click that plus button, subscribe, and it would be very beneficial to you. And then if you want to check out me, myself, I am on Twitter at Modi_Matt. You see the screenshot of my Twitter handle on the screen here. So check me out on Twitter if you want to follow me there. But like I said, this video is just a simple tutorial of how to use OddsJam. So I figured the easiest way to tell you how to use OddsJam would be to actually show you. So this is my home screen. This is my dashboard. This has all the information about me as a sports bettor. You can see everything ranging from total profit, pending bets, ROI, percent beating CLV. Now I'll explain this one in a little bit. It's basically how often the bets that you're placing, what percent of those bets are beating the closing line. Closing line, beating it is how you can make money betting on sports. So you want this number to be essentially above 50%, and the higher the better. So 71.6% is pretty good. It's actually been a little bit of a downswing. It was at 75, went down a little bit to 71, but still pretty good. You can see my profit over time, and you can filter this if you want to see profit by week, which is what the default view is, profit by month or profit by day. I like to keep it at profit by week because you can kind of see how things go on a weekly basis. Obviously, I have a ton more up than down, but I did have a pretty significant down week recently. Still working my way up from that, but all this information comes from the OddsJam bet tracker on my OddsJam home screen that you see here. Profit by sportsbook, so if you want to see which sportsbook that you are using, you are the most profitable with. And then, of course, profit by sport. So I'm still working on my baseball strategy, as you can see here, down on baseball overall. Still working on that, but football and basketball up a ton. Definitely my two best sports by far. And then you can see profit by bet type. So positive EV, which I'll explain in a little bit, is the number one of how I use this tool. I use the positive EV page to make the most of the money that I've made using OddsJam. Now, of course, I also use OddsJam to bet on positive expected value odds boost. So as you can see, my profit with odds boost is still pretty high. A normal bet is just something that I take on my own. I use OddsJam. I don't get it from the EV page. And then, of course, a free bet. You sign up for a sportsbook, you get access to a free bet. You lock those in. I have some money there. Arbitrage, which I'll explain, I don't use a ton, but these are all the profit by bet types. And like I said, all this information comes from using the OddsJam bet tracker, and it is on your dashboard on your home screen. To access this dashboard, all you need to do is just click bet tracker, dashboard, and then we're here. Now, before I get into each and every one of the tools themselves, I did want to show you how you can access your settings. So I moved my camera over a little bit. You see on the far right here, Virginia. This is the sport that you're the state that you're located in. I'm obviously located in Virginia. If you want to see what the bets look like in other states, you can do that. You can select which state you want to look at. But if not, it'll just auto default to your location. And then this M here, this is going to be your name. This is going to be how you can access your profile. So if I click this, you see profile pops up. I click this, and everything you want to see is here on the left. So the overview is just your information, first name, last name, my email address, phone number, state, all that good stuff. Manage books. So this is an awesome tab where you can manage two things. Number one, what sports you want to exclude. So if there's a certain sport that you want to look at, let's say I just wanted to look at basketball bets for the NBA Finals. I could filter out all these other sports that we have odds for. And then, of course, you can manage the actual sports books themselves that show up. So these are all the books that I don't use, so I just have them excluded. We also have sports books excluded by state. So if you change your state to Tennessee, only the books that are available in Tennessee will show up, which is cool. So you don't need to manually remove books that aren't legal in your state, but this is where you can do that. Now for the bet settings, this is where you enter in your bankroll. This number is just the amount that you are comfortable dedicating to betting on sports. It's going to be different for each person. As you can see, I have mine set at 2,500. And then the Kelly multiplier. This is something that I will explain when I'm showing you the positive EV page. But essentially, the way this works is there's a formula called the Kelly criterion method, which takes into account a bunch of information and it spits out an actual dollar amount that you should bet on based on your bankroll. And sometimes this number that it spits out, the formula, will tell you to bet a number that's probably a little too high in terms of best practices regarding bankroll management. So I have mine set at 0.5 to make that number make a little bit more sense. But like I said, I will go over that in greater detail later. Arbitrage settings. So if depending on if you're arbing, you want to show player props, you want to show alternate markets like first half spread, first half total, stuff like that, first quarter. You can also get emailed when certain arbitrage opportunities pop up based on the percentage for main markets, alternate markets, and player props. There's also your middle settings. Again, same thing, you can get emailed. That's the only thing you can update there. For positive EV, you can show the maximum positive EV odds that you want to have. So if you want to max the amount of odds you'll see on your positive EV page, you can do that here. You can also do the same thing with arbitrage. You can filter out alternate markets and player props, and then you can also get email notifications as well. Now, the bet tracker, you can get notifications on whether or not your bet is no longer beating the closing line. This is something that, again, I'll explain in greater detail, but if you do want to get email notifications for that, you can update that here. And then, of course, you can also update your injury settings as well. Again, do you want to get emails based on injuries or not? Here's where you can set that up. But overall, if you want to go to your account, access all your settings, like I said, all you need to do is just click your little icon here. It's going to be your initials, click profile, and then you're there. So one page that I recommend people check out when they're just starting off using OddsJam is just the odds page. It's very easy to get to. It's also completely free to use and access. You just hover over this little sport icon here, click which sport you want to get odds to, and then you can click into the game. So I will click into the NBA to look at the NBA Finals, which is going on when I'm recording this. If you choose another sport like MLB, you can see that they all the MLB games will appear here. And if you want to see more, you just click View All Games. But I will go to the NBA. And if you click into the game itself, you see it auto defaults to the moneyline markets. But if there's any market you want to look for at all, we probably have it, as you can see here, just scrolling up and down. The first three are going to be the main markets: moneyline, point spread, and total points. Highlighted green means these are the best odds. So if you're looking to find bets specifically from the odds page, just look at where the bets are green. This column here is the OddsJam line. This I will explain more in the positive EV page, but essentially this OddsJam line is pulled from the sharpest bookmaker in the world. So anywhere in which you see an OddsJam line here, that is going to be viewed as the quote-unquote true line, the most accurate line. So if you're getting better odds on another book, like in this case you are for the Celtics money line at plus 145, this would be a valuable bet. Now, if you want to look at a bunch of different things like a point spread or a total, things look a little bit differently. So if I click the total, what you see highlighted blue here is what's going to be the main line. You see if I hover over it, it says main line. So now I know quickly from scrolling that the main line has the Celtics at about 3.5 to 4 point underdogs, depending on where you're looking. Now, again, there does seem to be situations where I can bet on the Celtics and I'm getting the best odds. So right off the bat, if you're just trying to find valuable bets to take, an easy way to start is to just, again, start with the odds page and then go from there. As we can see, there's really there's no difference in terms of how the sports books are pricing this spread. They mostly have, pretty much every book has them priced at 3.5, with FanDuel having it at 4 instead. Sometimes you can find discrepancies amongst the sports books just from looking at an odds page, but for an NBA Finals game like this with such a tight market, it's rare that you're going to see that big of discrepancies. But still, if you did want to bet the Celtics, makes sense to do it on FanDuel at 3.5, and you can get them at -102 odds compared to every other book, which has it closer to -110. Now for the total, it's the same thing. You just hover over total points, and you just scroll until you find blue, which you see is the main line. Now what we see here is the total is actually different depending on what sports books you're looking at. So some books have this main line at 212. So PointsBet, WinBet, DraftKings have this total priced at 212, as does the OddsJam line. But most other books have this priced at 212.5, so that extra half point. That is MGM, BetRivers, Caesars, DraftKings, FanDuel. They have this priced at 212.5. So if you did want to bet the over, it would make sense to do it at one of these books where you can get it over 212. Now, of course, the best odds here are on the OddsJam line, so there's no value on the over. Looks like the value is actually on the under 212. But either way, scanning through the odds page is how you can find pricing discrepancies. Now, if there's a play that you couldn't find when you were initially searching, all you need to do is just type it in. Like if I want to look at a player prop, let's just look at player points. I'll type it in, and now we see where every single player has their point total at, again, with the main line for each player highlighted. So we see here, Al Horford, every book has his over-under priced at 10.5. If I did want to bet his over, I should do it at -115 on BetRivers. Same thing with Wiggins. His is priced at 15.5 or 16.5, depending on where you look. But the same thing, the main line is going to be what is highlighted in blue, and anywhere in which you're getting better odds than what the OddsJam line has it calculated at is going to be a positive expected value bet. Okay, now let's get to the good stuff. So the betting tools is where I use the majority of my time when I'm using OddsJam is on these betting tools. The number one for me is the positive EV page. So I've hinted at this a bunch of times. So let's get into it. So the way the positive expected value page works. So I mentioned the OddsJam line here and how it's the most accurate line in the world, right? Anywhere in which you see something with the OddsJam line, that should be viewed as the quote unquote true line. So a positive EV bet is where we're betting on something with more favorable odds than the OddsJam line. Now, before we can truly determine whether a bet has positive expected value or not, what we need to do is remove the VIG, which is what you see right here with the no VIG odds. So if you're unfamiliar with what the VIG is in sports betting, it's the way that sportsbooks make all their money. What they do is they charge up the price of the odds a little bit. So that way, if they're getting 50% of the money on each side of the bet, they'll be profitable because they've boosted up the odds a little bit. It's essentially the tax that sportsbooks price odds. In order to determine what the true line of a bet is, you need to remove the VIG. Now, luckily, this is removed here on this table. So anywhere in which you see odds, you'll also see the no VIG odds. There's also a way you can remove the VIG. We have a calculator that does that. So if you hover over calculators, type in no VIG fair odds calculator, you can also remove the VIG that way. And just to show you how to use it, basically, all you need to do is just type in both sides of the line. So for this first one here, it's a baseball play, plus 142, minus 195, plus 142, minus 195, puts the true line of this bet at plus and minus 159.97, which is what you see right here. So that's how the positive EV page works, right? It pulls lines from the most accurate bookmaker in the world. It removes the VIG to find out what the true line is, and then it provides opportunities in which you can get more favorable odds on another sports book. So for this one right here, no VIG odds, like I said, it was at about plus 160. We could bet this at plus 190 on, looks like this bet is on FanDuel, and that is positive expected value. The true line of this bet should really be priced at plus 160, but FanDuel has it at plus 190. So that 30-cent difference between plus 190 and plus 160 has positive expected value. Now, this percent here is essentially can be viewed as your profit margin. Every single positive expected value bet is going to have a percent associated with it. Now, this isn't going to be your ROI on this specific bet. Either the bet's going to win or lose. But over time, you'll notice that your percent of profit margin for a positive EV bet will start to equal your actual ROI as well over time. If you click this calculator button here, it'll provide a little more information. So the odds are the odds that I'm betting it at. The win percentage is this number is based off of the no vig odds of the OddsJam perfect line. So one thing that I find very interesting about sports betting is odds have an inherent win percentage associated with them. So it's another calculator. So if you go to calculators and you go to odds converter, all you need to do is just type in the American odds, like minus 190, has a win probability of 65%. Now for this bet, it was plus 190, so that has a win probability of about 34%. But no matter what, all odds are going to have a win percentage associated with them. Minus 110 is roughly 52, plus 100 is going to be 50-50. And that's what this number is. It's the win percentage of the no vig odds, so of plus 160. Now, I mentioned the Kelly multiplier earlier. So the Kelly criterion method, I mentioned it takes a bunch of factors and spits out an actual number, like you see here, $76. So number one, you need to input your bankroll, which again, I have mine set at 2,500. And then what it does is it takes the odds you're betting it at, it takes the win percentage of the OddsJam perfect line, and it spits out a fraction of your bankroll and an actual amount to wager. Now, bankroll best practices is you should never bet above 5% on any given bet. So right now I have mine set at 0.5, as you can see. If I had this set at 1, it would tell me to bet 6% of my bankroll, which again isn't best practices. It's not what you should be doing. So basically the way this works is whatever number that the Kelly criterion method spits out, basically by having this at 0.5, it cuts that number in half. And that's how this calculator works. And that is how the positive EV page works as a whole. Again, takes odds from the most accurate bookmaker in the world. It removes the vig to calculate the true line. And anywhere in which you see books here is going to be a positive expected value bet where you're getting more favorable odds on another sports book. The bolded text is going to be what the bet should be. So for this first one, the top play is bolded Adam Angle over 1.5 total bases. For this next one, it's the over 9.5 total runs. This one here is the under. One part of the page that I haven't mentioned yet that is incredibly important is the market width. So the number you see here is essentially a way in which we can determine confidence in what OddsJam is pricing these lines. So market width you can essentially view as confidence. The lower the number equals the more confident, the higher the number equals the less confident. So when we're betting on the positive EV page, the lower numbers, the better. So for a player prop, which is what this first one is, which is what this next one is, you see a bunch of player props here. What we're looking at is anything below 40 cents. Anything 40 cents and below is going to be within range. If you do want to bet a player prop that is above 40, like this one here, it would only be recommended to put up to 1% of your bankroll on it. So that is for player props, 40 cents and below. Now on the positive EV page, if you want to update your settings, you can just click that little gear there. You can filter out player props, save changes. Now if I go back to the positive EV page and I refresh this, you will see all the player props removed. So for game props, they're viewed a little bit differently. Anything that is 25 and below for a game prop is going to be the ideal range. And anything that is 15 cents and below is going to be even better. That is a really tight market that I like to call a quote unquote mixed slam. And that is really good. So anything 15 and below is great. Anything 25 and below is within range. Anything above 25 cents, again, I would only recommend putting up to 1% of your bankroll on. But overall, that is the positive EV page. That is how you use it. Like I said, it's a really helpful tool. For me, of my over 11 grand, about 7.2K of that is with positive expected value betting. So I cannot recommend positive EV betting enough. So the positive EV page is definitely my bread and butter, but it's certainly not the only tool that OddsJam offers. Number one, another tool is the middle tool. So if you just go to betting tools middle, you'll see the page here. Middling is essentially a scenario in which you are betting both sides of an outcome. So you're betting an over or an under, an over and an under, or you're betting both teams to cover, with the goal being you can either win both of your bets. So for example, if I'm betting under 50.5 and I'm betting over 48.5, if the total lands on exactly 49, then I would have won both my bets. For the example that you see on the screen here, I'm betting, looks like the Dodgers to go over 8 team total and under 8.5. So if the total lands, if they score exactly 8 runs, I would have won this under bet, and the over 8 would have pushed. Now, not every scenario when you are middling are you going to be able to guarantee a profit. In this case, looks like your ROI, if one bet wins and one bet loses, is going to be about negative 1.6. So if the total lands on under 8 or it lands on over 8, not exactly 8, then you will have lost about 1.6%. So the way it works, this little calculator will tell you exactly how much to put on. So let's say I wanted to risk 100 on the Dodgers team total under 8.5. So I put 100 on it. If the total goes under 8.5, let's say it lands on exactly 8, then I would have profited the $28. Let's say it lands on any other number except for 8, then I would have unfortunately lost $2. But middling is a way in which you can bet both sides in hopes that one of the bets doesn't lose, and that way you all profited on the other side. So the next tool I wanted to talk about is the low holds page. The low holds page is essentially a way in which you can churn through specific deposit bonuses or site credit bonuses or something like that. If you want to learn more about it, what you can do is click this little icon and it'll explain it in further detail. It'll also provide a video in which the OddsJam co-founder Alex talks through churning through deposit bonuses using the low holds page. You can also click this quick start wizard, which will tell you step by step how to go through the tool. But essentially, the low holds page is to be used when you have a certain amount of money that you need to spend on a certain book in order to hit a bonus. And you can filter by sportsbook. So let's say that if I bet $5,000 on BetMGM, then I will get a $1,000 bonus. So it'll provide examples in which I can bet $1,000 on BetMGM and then bet on another side and convert that as close to 0% cash as possible. So basically I would not have lost any money. And if I scroll down to the bottom here, you will see all these examples where I can convert it at exactly 0%. So I place a bet on BetMGM, I place another bet on the opposite side, and I will have totally broke even out of that transaction. But if I needed to bet $5,000 on BetMGM to make $1,000, I have now made $1,000. Again, the calculator tells you exactly what you need to do. So I'm betting, let's just use this $5,000 example. I'm betting $5,000 on BetMGM. I would then place a bet for roughly $2,600 on FanDuel. Either way, I will have profited roughly $7,600, and my total profit would have been exactly 0. So I didn't lose any money on the actual bet of this scenario, but what I did do was use the bonus. And that's what the low holds page is for. It's to basically churn through specific deposit bonuses. The next page I wanted to talk about is the free bet conversion page. This page is to be used when you have site credit or a free bet that you can use, which has become obviously increasingly popular in this day and age with all these sportsbooks and their sign-up bonuses. Basically, with this page, you can convert a free bet into cash up to the conversion percentage that you see here. So it looks like for this bet specifically, it's on a total runs played for the Yankees versus Angels. You can convert a free bet into roughly 88% of the total amount. So if I had a $100 free bet, I could convert this into $88. Same thing with all the other with all the other pages. You click the calculator, you type in the free play amount, and it gives you all the information. So I place a $100 free bet at plus 800. I place a $7 bet on the other side. So no matter what, I'll profit roughly $88, and I will have converted that $100 into free cash. And of course, the last tool that I wanted to talk about is this arbitrage page. Arbitrage is risk-free money. It is exactly risk-free money. The way it works is you place a bet on both sides. So it's similar to middling, except the key difference with arbitrage is there is no scenario in which you lose money. You place a bet on each side, and because of the odds, you are guaranteeing money. The percent in which you return is obviously dependent on the odds, and that is listed here. So for this top one here, I get about a 1.4% return. So the calculator, again, tells you all. So let's say I place a $200 bet on the minus 118 side. I would then place a roughly $165 bet on the other side. And no matter what, I would profit $5 in this outcome. If you want to look at the next example, again, let's say in this case, I am placing a bet for $500 on the other side, it tells me I should place a bet for 560. And again, I would profit $14 in this case, which is roughly 1.34%. And that's how arbitrage works. It's completely risk-free. There is no scenario in which you're losing money. And those are all the tools that OddsJam has to offer. Of course, it's not everything. We have a bunch of different calculators. I showed you a couple. Let's say you have a free bet and you just want to use the calculator or the free bet conversion calculator to tell you how much to put on it. You could do that. We also have a bunch of resources, so a getting started guide. So if you're brand new and you just want to learn how to use OddsJam, you're watching this video and now you want to see it in a written way, go to the getting started guide. You can also, if you want to just learn about a bunch of different betting education topics, you can go to our betting education tab, Sports Betting 101, how to bet on sports, sports betting education. It has everything that you could ever want, multiple pages worth. Looks like we have, over 4 or 5 pages worth, all betting education stuff. And of course, you can search for it if you don't want to scroll through each one. We also have online sports betting in terms of state pages and sports book reviews, all that good stuff. Either way, OddsJam has a ton of helpful stuff for any level of sports bettor. Whether you're a beginner, whether you're an expert, OddsJam has you covered. Like I mentioned, the important things to remember is the OddsJam positive EV page is where you can find mathematically profitable bets. If you want to line shop, then you have to go hover over sports, find a game, click into a game, and then green will tell you the best odds. And then, of course, the bet tracker, which tracks all your bets for you. The way you add a bet to the bet tracker is very easy. If you're looking at an odds page, you just click the plus button, and then you can add it to a bet tracker. So let's just say I'm going to bet this for $100. Click save. If I now go to my bet tracker, you now see this here for $100. Red means a bet you have placed is no longer beating the closing line. So I mentioned that you can get email alerts if you're placing a bet that turns red. And then if you want, you can cash that out. Green is good. Green means you are still beating the closing line. So I mentioned at the beginning, if you go to your dashboard, it'll tell you the percent you beat CLV. This comes from the bet tracker. So one, red equals bad, green equals good. Green means you're still beating the closing line. Red means you are not. And the way you add it to your bet tracker, like I said, it's very easy. From an odds page, you just click on a play. If you're looking at it from the positive expected value page, you just click the plus button. You make sure you're putting it on the right side. You click save. And then now if I refresh my bet tracker, the Tampa Bay Rays play I just put is on there. And that's how I use the bet tracker. So overall, tracking your bets is incredibly important, whether you're a beginner, like I said, or you're an expert. You need to understand whether you're profitable or not. And OddsJam offers a bet tracker that is completely free. And that is the last thing that I wanted to go over. So now I've gone over all the tools and the bet tracker. So if you're ready to sign up for OddsJam, all you need to do is just go to oddsjam.com. You can sign up for a free trial. Then you can schedule a call with myself or any of our other sharp sports bettors on the team, and we can teach you the ins and outs of using OddsJam, kind of like I did in this video, but you can do it on a one-on-one setting. So any questions you have, you can go ahead and ask. And that's all I got for you. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Of course, if you have any questions, you can hit me up in the comments. You can also hit me up at my Twitter handle that you see on the screen here. Other than that, again, would appreciate if you could like the video and then, of course, subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel. But that is all I got for you. So thanks for watching and have a good one.